Saul Goodman is one of the most tragic and quietly destructive villains ever written because his fall is not explosive or dramatic. It isn't one big moment. It's a long erosion of morality, identity, and self-respect, happening grain by grain until there is nothing left. His story shows how a person doesn't need to be a monster to cause damage. Sometimes it only takes a wounded human being who keeps avoiding the truth. Before the world knows him as Saul Goodman, he is Jimmy McGill, a man who genuinely wants to be decent. Jimmy wants what everyone else wants: approval, success, and love. But he carries something heavy inside of him, an old belief that he is fundamentally lesser than others. That belief feeds on every failure, every insult, every mistake. And then comes Chuck, the most important and painful figure in Jimmy's life. Chuck is not a cartoon villain. His cruelty is cold, passive, polite. And that makes it worse. Chuck looks at Jimmy and doesn't just doubt him, he erases him. He tells him that everything good Jimmy builds is fake. Everything Jimmy tries is dishonest. And everything Jimmy dreams is undeserved. For a person who already feels inferior, this is not just discouragement. It's a death sentence to the soul. But Jimmy doesn't collapse. He adapts. He learns to survive through charm, jokes, shortcuts, and lies. At first, all of it feels harmless. Just a quick fix. Just a faster way to get where others get by privilege. But every shortcut rewires him a little more. Every lie becomes easier. Every con becomes routine. Jimmy doesn't wake up one day and become Saul Goodman. He grows into it slowly, like slipping into water that gets darker the deeper he goes. Saul Goodman becomes his armor, his shield, his safety mechanism. Whenever Jimmy feels small, Saul feels big. Whenever Jimmy feels ignored, Saul feels loud. Whenever Jimmy feels pain, Saul makes a joke. Whenever Jimmy feels guilt, Saul finds loophole. Saul Goodman is not a character he creates, he is an escape hatch. And once Jimmy starts using it, he can't stop. The saddest part of his transformation is that it is driven by fear, not ambition. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of being abandoned. The Saul persona gives him control over a world where he always felt powerless. The bright suits, the loud ads, the exaggerated confidence, these are not signs of strength. They are symptoms of a man who cannot stand the silence of being alone with himself. Then there is Kim Wexler, the person who understands him more deeply than anyone else. Their bond is one of the most dangerous relationships ever portrayed on screen, because it is built on shared brokenness. Kim is drawn to Jimmy's chaos because it makes her feel alive. Jimmy is drawn to Kim's brilliance because it makes him feel worthy. Together, they enter a cycle where small mischief becomes bigger risks, and those risks become disasters. They tell themselves they are fighting injustice, but they are really feeding something darker inside them. Thrill, rebellion, the intoxication of getting away with something forbidden. And this is where Saul's villainy forms. He doesn't corrupt Kim out of cruelty. He corrupts her because corruption is the only language he knows for love. Howard Hamblin's death becomes the turning point, not because Saul pulls the trigger, but because his games create the space in which tragedy happens. And when Kim leaves, Jimmy's entire identity shatters. Without her, he doesn't try to repair himself. He doesn't face his guilt. He doesn't confront his pain. He does what he has always done. He becomes Saul Goodman fully, permanently, and completely. By the time we see him in Breaking Bad, Saul is a man who has erased so much of himself that he operates like a machine. He tells Walt how to launder money, how to hide crimes, how to disappear. These are not just legal tricks. They are the tools of a man who has lost all connection to consequence. When Jesse cries, Saul sees a job. When Walt destroys his family, Saul sees an opportunity. He is not evil in the way Walt becomes evil. He is dangerous because he enables evil with a smile. He is the voice that whispers, "It's fine, there's a way out," even when there isn't. And because of Saul, people die, families fall apart, innocent lives are crushed. And he continues because he has taught himself to never look back. But the truth about Saul Goodman is this: behind the loud jokes and the bright suits, is a man who is terrified of sitting with his own guilt. And when the weight finally catches up with him, when he is alone in the bland, miserable life of Gene Tavikin, he cracks. The silence of that life exposes everything he has run from, every lie, every con, every death he indirectly helped cause. And when he finally stands in that courtroom and tells the truth, it is not an act of heroism. It's exhaustion. He is simply tired of running, tired of pretending, tired of being Saul Goodman. Jimmy McGill returns not as a hero, but as a man accepting responsibility for the first time. His confession isn't redemption, it's honesty. And honesty is something he has avoided his entire life. In that moment, he chooses truth over escape, consequences over shortcuts, and pain over denial. That is what makes his ending so powerful. It is the only time he becomes the person he once wanted to be. Saul Goodman is a villain not because he is cruel, but because he teaches himself to ignore the harm he causes. He is the embodiment of small compromises turning into permanent corruption. He proves that you don't need to choose evil to end up on the wrong path. You only need to stop choosing what is right. His story is a warning that you can lose yourself quietly, gradually, and without noticing, until everything you loved is gone. Saul doesn't break bad. He dissolves. He fades. He slips so far into the lie that he becomes it. And the saddest part is that deep inside, Jimmy McGill was always there waiting for the day someone would tell him he was enough. But nobody did. So he became Saul Goodman instead.